Hello, everybody. Welcome to Breakfast All Day. I'm Matt. That's Christy. That's Alonso. See, I get to correctly point because I'm recording to my computer. So the way
I was going to say, because you just pointed to me when you said Christy, but
nope.
If it looks different on yours, great.
It does, and that's the way it's going to record. So when they point crazy, it's because they're wrong.
I have Alonso down there. Alonso's below me.
See, I have Christy below me.
Alonso's below all of us.
That's Matt. That's Matt right
anyway, so we are talking about Extraction this week. This is a new movie on Netflix, and it stars Chris Hemsworth. Alonso, will you just... Well, I'm sorry. Christy.
No, Christy.
I will. I can.
Yeah. Whoever's over there.
Chris Hemsworth plays a black market mercenary named Tyler Rake. This is a totally made up
For real
movie name. No one's named Tyler Rake. I'm sorry if your name is Tyler Rake and you're listening to this. I apologize. It just seems like one of those made up bad guy action movie hero names. And he's clearly tormented and drinking his days away in Australia with his mates, but he gets the call to go and rescue the son of a drug lord who is being held by this Bangladeshi drug lord. This kid is the son of the Indian drug lord. They've got a beef. And so he goes there and has to rescue him.
Right? They're
that was terrible. I didn't even mean to set you up for that.
There's nothing sacred.
So he has to go to Bangladesh to rescue this kid, and it's not nearly as easy as that. And he finds himself getting attached in a way that he does not ordinarily, and the reasons for that become clear as the film goes on. And it's just like a tough, intense, badass action movie, and it would seem pretty generic for the most part, but there's this one big section in the middle. And you guys know I'm a sucker for this. There is one big section in the middle that is structured to look like one long single take. And it is really elaborate and really ambitious and really well executed. It begins life as a car chase, and then the camera comes like out the back window of the car and around the side window of the car, and then eventually the car crashes and the people have to get out, and they go into this really cramped, narrow apartment complex,
and it
up the stairways,
and it's tracking and switches points of view as to who's doing what, right? Like it follows different people at different times.
Yes. And so like you're going like they're on the ledge outside the apartment, but the camera's in the inside of the apartment, and they meet back up again through a window. Like it's really cool. It's really, I mean, it's the thing that makes this a better movie than what it actually is. It's a lot of people getting shot in the head. It's a lot of people getting the shit beat out of them. It's a really gory, intense, violent, graphic action movie. But the director, whose name is, of course, escaping me in this moment, is the Russo brothers, frequent stunt coordinator. I'm looking at Tyler Rake and Joe
John Wick.
No, well, but it is kind of like that situation.
Sam Hargrave.
Thank you very much.
Another made-up name.
Totally real guy. And it's like, how the David Leitch was a long-time stunt coordinator and then went on to direct Atomic Blonde. I believe this guy was the stunt coordinator for Atomic Blonde too. And so there is real care with the fight sequences, and they're not edited frenetically. I mean, he really wants you to see the care that went into the choreography and into the camera placement, and and so they, maybe it's gimmicky, but there's a justification for it, as that he wants you to feel immersed in this. So I found that it had a lot more style and craft than what its premise might suggest, and it gives Chris Hemsworth the opportunity to actually act more than he does. I mean, he is better at comedy than you might expect somebody who looks like that would be. But this film is a rare opportunity for him to actually show some dramatic ability. He has to cry. I don't recall seeing Chris Hemsworth cry elsewhere. Do you? Anyway, it's better than I thought it was going to be.
Wow. You are being so nice.
Am I?
I will grant you that, yes, that one big sort of showy showpiece section in the middle is impressive, and there's a lot of energy to that. This movie leans into the cliches so hard that, like, it is one draft away from being like the airplane of action movies.
No.
Like between the yes, come on.
It's not that bad. It's better than that.
Between the Tyler Rake of it all, the whole like he's haunted by his past and he lives off somewhere by himself, and then they come and they bring him in for another job, but then it's a double cross, and you immediately know who the double crossers are going to be and how it's all, the cops are in on it. And it just, every step of this was like, are you shitting me? Like, you are presenting me this with a straight face. This is so by the numbers and rote, and we've seen this a million times. And like, yeah, Hemsworth is bringing gravitas to it, but there's no character. Like, this guy is just this collection of cliches.
Christy, you have a bottle in front of you.
His deep secret is super obvious. I
don't think his big secret is super obvious.
They telegraph it in the first 2 minutes of the movie when he's being shot at, and he has like that vision of the beach, like, oh, I know where this is going. I was just
it's the journey to get to the beach, though. What happens at the beach?
I was rolling my eyes so hard for so much of this movie that every so often I was like, okay, well, that's a cool action sequence, or oh shit, that's some R-rated gore and fisticuffs or whatever. But yeah, this is just like, I couldn't believe how stupid it was.
I like this.
Is it bad that it's stupid, though? Is it bad that it's stupid? Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah,
kind of.
Look, this does. There's a lot of cliches going on, and pretty much right off the bat, you're like, all right, well, I kind of know where this is going. It executes the action is executed so well that, as opposed to something like Ong Bak, right, which is a very silly action movie, right, which has got killer action, but ultimately the story is pretty dopey. I have seen action movies that the story...
So touches elephants, man.
Well, that, for instance, there's decent enough action scenes in Six Underground, but that story is terrible compared to this, right? This is a much better film than Six Underground. I think, but, I think that this works fairly well, and I think that, it's unfortunate that this is kind of Hargrave's first directorial effort, because I think with a director that's more used to working on story, I think you would have actually had a movie here that really had something to say, and because this movie flirts with it. There's some moments that it actually becomes a little bit more than just kind of a by the numbers action film, and I see what they were going for, and I kind of wish that it could have delivered on that. It at least acknowledges some things, like the motivation behind the guy that hires them, and the kind of relationship between the kid and Rake. All of that kind of worked okay for me, and I found myself actually a little bit happier with where it ended up than where I thought it was going to end up. And honestly, there's a little bit of ambiguity in the ending that I kind of liked. So I would honestly kind of watch another one of these.
I also liked all the stuff with David Harbour as Tyler Rake's longtime fellow mercenary badass buddy that he eventually meets up with in Bangladesh. He brings danger to it, and a volatility, an unpredictability to it, and just watching the two of them together was kind of fun.
I when he appeared, I thought, oh, okay, cool, well, this is gonna maybe go somewhere, and then I was like, oh, no, this is gonna go exactly where I think it's going, and so it just, and again, I felt like he's making an effort to convey something, but the character and his purpose in the plot just feels just so perfunctory and cliched, and it just, every step of this movie just felt like we're doing this, okay, we're doing this then, and and even putting aside the optics, let's say, of one badass white guy mowing down immeasurable numbers of South Asians, I wanted this movie to have I wanted it to zag once, but it just zigs.
It's not reinventing the wheel. No, it's not reinventing the wheel, but the wheel is solid. We should mention really fast the name of the kid in it. Rudhraksh Jaiswal is the name of the actor, and he holds his own fine with Chris Hemsworth in this crazy setting. You know, it's a lot to ask of him. He's basically just running and at one point being pushed, you know, off the top of one building and onto another. And
yeah,
so
I want to go back to what Alonso was saying. I think this movie did zag in a couple places, especially the way it was dealing with the kids in this movie in general. Especially the idea that, like, you know, we've seen a lot of, like, you know, kid drug dealers in movies. And, I think that's something I noticed, especially because I've been rewatching The Wire, or not rewatching, I've been binge watching The Wire, which has a lot of that. But, like, the way the kids that are in the employ of the gangsters in this, like the one big bad, I thought was kind of interesting, especially, like, when it comes to Rake having to, sorry, I have to roll my eyes at that name, with Rake having to deal with fighting the kids who are armed.
They're like teenagers.
They're not even teens, right? Like, they're like, you know, like preteens, like 10 and 11.
Yeah, they reminded me, what's the child soldier movie with Idris Elba?
Right. Yeah, I can't. One. Right, I know which one you're talking about.
Damn it! I can't
but, like,
look it up.
you know, there's a scene where, you know, because Rake doesn't
Feast of No Nation.
Feast of No Nation. Yeah.
Thank you.
One of the things that comes up in this movie is that because Rake doesn't feel like he's, you know, literally pulling his punches a little bit with these kids, and not like that ends up being an issue. Right. And I thought that was interesting, because that's an example of, like, the movie using something that you wouldn't necessarily in a movie that didn't include something like armed kids. So again, like,
I'll give you that one, but for the most part, this just really, and again,
there's a zag.
Like you know, when you mentioned a movie like Ong Bak, like, yeah, obviously if I'm watching like one of the great John Woo movies, for example, or you know, The Raid or something, it's like I'm not there for the plotting necessarily. And if you can really blow my mind with the action, then I'm willing to take a lot of stuff for granted. But this one, the action is, you know, fine. It's good even, but it's nothing it wasn't something that I hadn't seen before. And the writing is so bad and so pedestrian that it just kind of put me off.
Joe Russo co-wrote the script. This is, you know, Anthony and Joe Russo's longtime stunt guy, and they produced this film, and he co-wrote the script. Yeah, and it's based on a graphic novel that I guess none of us are ever going to read. So I'm saying 7. I thought it was solid.
I am saying 6.5.
I said 6.
Okay.
Yeah, all that arguing, we're all right.
Right? I thought you were going to say like a 3. Like, you
sound like a 3 a lot.
It is technically competent, and it is. I mean, look, it you know, it is well edited, and the action sequences aren't shitty. They're just not like blowing my mind with their, you know, like, new ideas.
It's in focus,
but the script is terrible. I just want to be on record for that.
Yes.
Bad script.
You made that clear. All right, so our number is a 6.5.
Yes, it is. So thanks for watching. Like this video on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. That's where we do extra goodies for our subscribers, including talking about TV recaps. We're finishing off HBO's The Plot Against America, also doing Westworld and Mrs. America, and other fun stuff as well. So check that out, won't you?
I'm doing fun stuff. I have fun stuff.
Yes.
I'm doing the Last Dance recaps because I have friends.
That's not that fun.
I have friends who like sports. So if you like sports, listen to my Last Dance recaps. They are brunch extras in the middle of the week.
Because Christy's a sporty gal. Sporty. All right. Thank you guys. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.